Today I'm going to do an orthographic projection question. It's going to be a revision question on how to draw the elevation, plan and in view of a 3D object. So it's going to be question 6 from page 125 of the Tech Graph book. The figure over shows a pictorial view of a camera. Draw full size, part A, an elevation looking in the direction of arrow A, part B, an in view looking in the direction of arrow B, and part C, a plan projected from A above, which is the elevation. So the first thing we need to do when we're doing this question is we need to figure out the position of our views. So you can see that the elevation has to be in the direction of arrow A. So arrow A is pointing over, looking in from this side, but it's pointing towards the right hand side. Okay, so that means we're going to have to position our elevation view here on the right hand side. The plan view then is always going to be underneath your elevation. So that's going to be directly underneath that. And then from that then we're going to have the in view, which is in the direction of arrow B, and it's going to be over to the left of the elevation. Now, three things that we need to figure out is for the boxes that we're going to draw, we need to figure out the total length of the camera, the total width of the camera, and the total height of the camera. So I'm going to make a note of them over here. So the total length is 140 millimeters. The width is 65 millimeters. And then the total height of the camera is 100 millimeters. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a position for my XY line. So because my height is 100, I'm going to add on an extra 20, and I'm going to say my XY line is down 120 millimeters. So there's my XY line. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up my elevation box, my plan view box, and then my in view box. And I'm going to leave 15 millimeters between my views. Okay, so I have my lengths marked in, and I have my widths marked in from the back as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the outline of the camera, and then from there I'm going to go to my elevation. Okay, so that's the plan view of the camera. Just make sure that you get the hidden detail here on the front of it. It's for the inside lens of the camera. The lens of the camera, the outer shell is radius 30 and the inner lens is radius 20. So from there now what I'm going to do is I'm going to project my lines vertical to help me draw my elevation, and then the new things that I'm going to mark then in my elevation are my heights. Okay, so you in elevation you associate the elevation with heights and lengths. Plan view you associate with widths and lengths. Okay, so what's common between the two views is lengths. So they're the lengths that I marked here in my plan view. I'm going to project them vertical now to my elevation, and I can use them then to complete my elevation. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my circles. So set your compass to radius 30 in the center. Okay, so that's the elevation view of the camera completed. Again, I projected all my lines vertical from my plan view and I marked up my heights. So my heights were 40, 20, and then 40 to the top, and then 80 up on this side then for that level of the camera. Okay, notice too how I'm using two different pencils. I'm using a 5H for my construction lines, and then I'm using a HB pencil then afterwards just to go over the outline. So my final thing now that I'm going to do is complete my in view or my end elevation of the camera. So I'm going to project my heights across from my elevation because that's the common measurement between elevation and in view. And then I'm going to bring my lines from my plan view up to my in view at 45 degrees. Okay, so notice that when you're bringing your lines from your plan view to your in view, this is the end of your plan view here. So you have to bring every line over to the end of your plan view first, and then you can project it up to your end elevation. Okay, so that's the lens on the front of the camera completed. Now I'm going to complete the side. So I'm looking in from this side, so I'm going to see this edge here. So follow your lines up, that's that edge there. Bring that up. So that's that edge there. Follow it up, follow that across. There's one point, follow that up. There's the second point. So you can join the two of them up. And then lines actually go to there. So the final thing I need to put in then is the button. So again, project across the width of the button, bring it up to your in view, then draw in the button. Now with the button, it's important you're going to have some hidden detail. Because it's behind the flash section of the camera. Okay, so that's the elevation, plan and in view of the camera completed. So that was a recap and revision on orthographic projection. So the key thing was that first thing you had to do is you had to decide whether your elevation was going to be on the left or the right hand side of your page. Because the arrow was pointing to the right, it meant it had to be on the right hand side of your page. Therefore, your in view then was going to be on the left hand side of your elevation, and your plan view is always directly underneath your elevation. After that, then we had to figure out the total length, the total width, and the total height of the camera, which we outlined here, and then a position for our XY line. So generally what I like to do is measure down an extra 20 onto the height. So that's why we came down 120. We left a distance of 15 millimeters then between our views, and we set up our boxes. After that, then we started with the plan view, filled in as much information about the plan view of the camera, moved on then to doing the elevation view, and then finally then we had enough information in the elevation view and in the plan view to complete the in view of the camera.